You are listening to Frankly Speaking Panthers on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Panthers. And boy, oh boy, what a night we got in store for you tonight. I'm just making sure as I go ahead and do a quick little message here as we come on live to you from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. What a great show we have. In about 20 minutes, we're going to have from Sports Illustrated now, the great beat writer of the New Orleans Saints. We're going to welcome in John Hendrix, who has been a friend of our show for a period of time now and does a great job reporting on the New Orleans Saints. And for those of you who are wondering why John Hendrix, if you haven't figured it out, we're going for 2-0, baby. 2-0 versus the New Orleans Saints this Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Bank of America Stadium. So what a great show we have in store for you tonight. We're going to go over and preview the entire game coming up this Sunday. And then we'll also, after the interview with John Hendrix, we'll go around the NFC South, which this week is pretty simple because you have two games that happen to have all four teams playing in it. So it shouldn't be a difficult thing to do with the Buccaneers playing the Atlanta Falcons. But, this is a home game, folks. It's got to get loud. We got to stand up. We got to get loud. This is the game that we are waiting for right now. The only game on our mind. We win one game at a time. And that's what we plan on doing this Sunday. And if we plan on winning, these are some of the keys that I'm going to hit on that we need to do in order to be successful. For those of you joining on several different platforms tonight, we're on YouTube, baby. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. And we're on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. So for all of you folks out there, if you can please go ahead, share this to your timeline. We want you to get involved tonight. If you are a Panther fan and you're excited about this game this week, love you to call in. Tell us what you think needs to happen in order for us to win this Sunday. There's the call-in number. Thank you so much for getting that out there. For those of you that are on right now on Facebook Live and for YouTube, we went ahead, we put a number up there for you so you can go ahead and call in. Any other platforms, please go ahead. If you see that number, call in. We'd love to hear it, to get you involved. And these are the things when I look at the Carolina Panthers, folks, that they need to do in order to win this Sunday versus the Saints. Okay? Everybody remembers the New Orleans Saints. Everybody remembers the New Orleans Saints with Drew Brees. Everybody remembers the New Orleans Saints with Michael Thomas. Well, guess what? Both of those guys are not there this weekend, and it's a darn good thing for the Carolina Panthers. When you look at this team, the one thing that starts off that I think about that happened last game that needs to be improved on is that Sam Darnold needs to spread the wealth out. You cannot plan on going versus this unbelievable defense of the New Orleans Saints and only using Christian McCaffrey as your only player on the team. McCaffrey was the only one who ran the ball last week besides the one run for the touchdown by Sam Darnold. If you want to win this week, you got to get more involved. You got to get Marshall involved. You're going to have to get Robbie Anderson. Keep making those catches. But the one group of guys you got to get involved. You got to get involved if you want to win this game this upcoming weekend is the group of tight ends that you have. The Tommy Trembles, the Dan Arnolds. Where was Dan Arnold last week? I mean, these are guys you have to get involved if you want to win this ballgame. The tight ends have to get involved in the game, and it will help you offensively mixing it up. Meanwhile, you got to get Chuba a couple of carries, whether you trust him or not. If you don't trust him, get rid of him. If you do trust him, utilize him and let the kid build confidence in his ability. They got to capitalize on third downs, okay? If you get a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, you have to be able to keep your offense on the field and keep your defense on the sideline. By keeping that powerful defense, which we'll go over in a couple of minutes, on the sidelines, you allow them to stay fresh. You allow them to go ahead and keep that energy. And that's the thing that helps the defense comes the 3rd and 4th quarter of the game. And like I said, keep that defense off the field. The other thing is this defense, and I said we're going to talk about it more, but you have to get into Jameis Winston's head. I've watched Jameis his whole career when he was down in Tampa. The one thing about Jameis Winston, he'll come out like he did in game 1. He'll make no mistakes. He'll throw 5 touchdown passes. And the next thing you know, he comes out the next game and throws 5 interceptions. There's not a lot of consistency when Jameis Winston comes to play. And how do you get him to be inconsistent? You have to do a couple of things. Number one, that unbelievable front 7 of the Carolina Panthers who had 6 sacks last game. Unbelievable. I believe they had 8 passes that were deflected. They have to put pressure on Winston. That's number one. Number 2, you have to contain. I use the word contain. You have to contain Alvin Kamara. When you contain Alvin Kamara, Jameis has this habit when you stop the running game, whether it was when he was playing with Tampa Bay or whether it's going to be this Sunday versus the Panthers, the one thing that Jameis does is he tries to put everything on himself. He tries to put everything on himself. And when he puts everything on himself, he tends to make bad decisions. His mind goes wacko, and he makes a lot of mistakes. And I would not be surprised to see Jameis throw a couple of picks this week as long as we're continuing to put the pressure on him. And that's what we're definitely going to have to do. Going to do one thing here real quick, folks. I apologize here. I can't believe I forgot to do this. So stay with me here. So let's see if there's a quick way I can do this. So everybody, please stay with me for 1 minute here. All right. Hopefully everybody can still see me here as I'm real quickly just updating something here. So everybody, please hang on here. I have not gone away, folks. So I'm just having a little quick issue with my I wonder what's happening there. Okay, folks, give me 1 second here as I try to go ahead and our gentleman that's coming on did not all right, we're having an issue here. So 1 more second, folks, and I do apologize for that. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up again, folks. So please stay on the line with me, everybody. I do apologize about that. All right, control. I knew there was one thing that I forgot to do here, so I do apologize to all the folks listening. And while we're we're going to have Johnny come on in a few minutes to talk about things we're going to go over, but I have to real quickly send him this message here. Otherwise, he doesn't have the link to come on the show. And, you know, silly me who just forgot to do it. So I'm going to do it right now to Johnny. All right, here we go. We're all set, folks. Okay, so we're back live in action with you. Let's go ahead and, continue where we were talking about. But you get into Winston's head. And meanwhile, Sam Darnold has to continue to make, to not make mistakes and play mistake-free and penalty-free football. The same exact defense that we had last weekend has to show up. They have to stop Kamara. But the couple of big things that we need to capitalize on this week, continuing this subject to win, is not only do we have to capitalize on third down plays, we have to stop their offense on third down as well. And then when we get into the red zone, folks, you don't want to accept threes. You do not want to accept threes. You want to turn any mistakes or anytime you get in the red zone to 7 points. We're not sure how this kicker Zendejas is going to do for us. The new kicker that we got, we knew what we had with Santoso. That's a whole nother story, but he is gone. And if we get the lead, we're going to, the one thing I didn't like about last game, and I haven't hid the fact, is that I did not like the fact that we went into this conservative type play in the second half of the game. You get to a certain point where you're playing really well, and then all of a sudden you change the whole darn game plan. It doesn't make sense. Why are we changing the game plan? We got to the 16-0 lead playing a certain way. I understand if you're in the middle of the fourth quarter, you want to game manage the clock, that's fine. But you don't do that at the beginning of a half. 16 points against a team like the New Orleans Saints will come back to haunt you if you start going into this conservative type play. So that's that. Once again, I want to remind everybody, if you're on the different platforms, please go ahead, share this to your timeline. We do have a call-in line. Our call-in number tonight is 813-922-9810. For all of you folks that are listening, we thank you very much. We also want to welcome, the Carolina Panthers Den Group. I'll tell you what, folks, if you like the Carolina Panthers, you want all the latest updated news without all the bull crap and fighting that goes on in some of these groups, and you want a group that knows how to, communicate in a friendly way, this Carolina Panthers Den Group is a must. I'm a member of the group. It's so nice to be able to talk to a lot of different types of people who are positive, and you don't see a lot of negativity every time you turn around and your team doesn't do something in a positive way. Carolina Panthers Dan Club. You want to become a member? Go to Facebook, go to the group, Carolina Panthers Den Group, and become a member today. But, we're talking about the upcoming game. What do they need to do? Okay, this game is real simple, folks. I'm going to break it down into very, very simple terms for you. Okay, this game is going to come to the trenches. It's going to come down to within the trenches, offensive lines versus defensive line. Number one, the offensive line our offensive line is going to need to protect Sam Darnold and allow Christian McCaffrey to get some holes and gain some yardage. I thought overall, a lot of people giving him a lot of crap about last week. But when you look at that game, McCaffrey was 2 yards shy of 100 yards, did a great job running. And I thought most of the time, even though Donald felt some pressure at some times, that they did an overall good job. Stop being negative on the offensive line. When it's time to be negative about them, we'll be negative. But right now, we won a game last week. Our offensive line did an adequate enough job to get us the win. They're going to need to do an even better job this weekend to win, and they're going to have to keep that front seven on the defensive side of it from putting pressure on Sam Darnold. On the other side of the football, our defensive line needs to keep the same intensity they had versus Zach Wilson of the New York Jets. Remember, Winston plays mind games with himself. You go ahead on front seven and put the type of pressure you put on Zach last week versus the New York Jets, where you had 6 sacks, 8 deflections. Just playing swarm the football type defense. You will go ahead and be successful in this game. But besides that, the only other thing I would say is limit the amount of big plays, if any, that Jameis Winston gets. You got to eliminate the big plays. For those of you people thinking that this is a game that automatically the New Orleans Saints are going to win, I got news for you. It isn't. This is not the same New Orleans team. They just signed Kenny Stills to the practice squad. They're hurting at the wide receiver position. They have 6 offensive coaches that will not participate on the field at this game. There is a lot of concern. You could not pick a better week to be a member of the Carolina Panthers playing the New Orleans Saints. There is so much wrong with this team in week 2, despite them crushing the Packers last week. They have a lot of opportunities and a lot of situations they're facing where Carolina, it would not surprise me if the Saints come into Bank of America and possibly walk out with an L by the time this game is over. Last week, 5 touchdown passes. We said Winston, a lot of them were short passes. And that's the thing. Jameis ran for 37 yards. He didn't throw, just barely threw over 100 yards. But the great thing about the Saints last week, if you were able to watch that game versus the Packers, is the Saints won a battle that they should not be able to win this weekend, and that's called the field position battle. Okay? They had great field position. Winston didn't have to bring them 80, 90 yards every time that he got the ball. He was able to use Kamara in certain situations And then when he got close to the end zone, he went ahead and did some play action and, worked very well for him. And he threw 5 touchdown passes. Play action is so important. You can't use the same different formations no matter which team you are on if you want to win. Then that's the key also for the Panthers. The Panthers want to win. They're going to have to mix up formations, but they're going to have to run play action so the defense is more on their heels rather than their toes. And I'm telling you what, folks, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if this defense, I'm telling you, this defense could be a top 10 defense in the league within a couple of weeks, if not sooner, in the NFL. Once again, I want to remind everybody that is listening on different platforms. Number one, you can go ahead and please share this to your timeline. Share it to your friends. We're talking about the upcoming game versus the New Orleans Saints. This one is for first place in the NFC South. If you want to go ahead and call in, have any questions on the Carolina Panthers, the number is up on the screen. Go ahead and call those numbers. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions or whatever comment you like. Also, we have a comment section here. Please don't, be embarrassed or anything. Leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking about. We'll share it live on the air. And once again, we'll do our best to answer it. But thank you, everybody, so very much for that is watching us tonight. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We are on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Just so many different networks that we are on. Love to get your feedback. We are about 5 minutes away, probably 3 minutes away from having John Hendrix from Sports Illustrated on. He covers the New Orleans Saints. We're going to break down the Saints player. We're going to ask him some questions in regards to the Saints. We're going to find out what's going on with New Orleans and what we need to do to beat this, which, as I said, is if we win the game inside, we will win this game. Stopping Kamara is the key to the game only because it will make Winston think. He is not good when he thinks. He gets himself in trouble when he thinks. We will prevail if we can contain Alvin Kamara. So, definitely looking forward to this game. After the interview in about 2 minutes with John Hendrix, we're going to go ahead and we will do a short preview of the only other game that has anything to do with the NFC South. That'll be the 1-0 Buccaneers versus the 0-1 Falcons. We'll do a quick recap of that game a little bit later in the show. Want to give people an opportunity to leave comments. If you're on this show right now, you're listening, and you're a Panther fan, this is the time to go ahead and leave a comment, okay? Leave a comment. Call in at the phone number listed on the screen. And the reason we don't say it on the air is because we have some people that do listen to this program on a recording, so we don't want to mislead them and have them call when, in fact, we're not going to be there. So right now, if you are listening, you are currently live on the air. Go ahead, leave a comment, call in. We'll be more than happy to answer your question for you. Love to know what you thought about the Carolina Panthers and what they did last week versus the New York Jets, and what your expectations, predictions, and thoughts are about the Panthers this upcoming week, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Bank of America. We need to pack that place out. If you're listening, I don't care if you're from Winston-Salem. I don't care if you're from Charlotte. I don't care if you're from Timbuktu. You need to get your butt down to Bank of America Field in the stands. You need to stand up, and you need to get loud for this team. Okay, 1-0, first place, NFC South. You got to be pumped up. You want to be a first place team? Well, we got to be a first place fan base as well. And I know the people in Charlotte and the surrounding areas can do that. And now it's time to go ahead and show that. Let's see. Got a quick message. Let me go ahead and he's saying that he can't get in. Let's see. Let me tell him there should be. This is the only thing. Sometimes you do it all. Let me see if I can get Johnny back in here. He's trying real hard. All right, we can't do it that way. All right, let's try to get him back in real quick. All right. All right, Johnny. Let's see. All right, and then I'll send that to him one more time. Let me let him know he might need to use a computer here. So, all right. Sorry about those folks of you listening on different platforms. I'm trying to help this gentleman get in right now. And let me just tell him. There we go. I'm going to say, try this, John. Try this on a computer. All right. So I just sent him that, but John is on his way trying to get in. We're trying to help him out a little bit. There he is. I knew he was coming in. I just sent him a note. See, I'm so fast, folks. It's incredible. Like speed of lightning. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a quick 15-second station break. Allow our stations to identify themselves. And when we come back, we're going to have the Saints beat writer, reporter for SI Now, John Hendrix, will be joining us live. Let's go ahead and take a 15-second station break to allow our stations to identify themselves. You are listening to Frankly Speaking Panthers on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. All those technical difficulties we apologize about, but we are going to have Johnny on now with us. Let me just take this phone number off here quickly. And then for those of you folks, once again, that are looking for a group that carries all the necessary information you want on Carolina Panthers football. And when I talk about a group that's going to go ahead and take care of you, be positive, no negativity, you want to go to Facebook and join Carolina Panthers Den Group. What a great, great group they are. What a great, great bunch of guys and girls that love the Carolina Panthers and root for them in a positive way. Once again, go to Facebook, Carolina Panthers Den Group. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is a real great honor, thrill, and pleasure, as always, to have this guy back with us. Every time an opposing team that I deal with plays against the New Orleans Saints, this is the guy, the only guy that I ask to come on because he has such great knowledge, not just on the Saints, even though that's who he's covered, but football in general. Let's please welcome in the beat writer for the New Orleans Saints and reporter for SI Now. Let's welcome in John Hendrix. Let me pull him up there. There he is. John, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, buddy. Hey, it's good to see you doing okay. I know it's been a tough couple of weeks for you here, not just for you, but everybody from the New Orleans area. So we're happy to see that, you're doing as well as you can be doing over there.
Yeah, it's been something. Some people just getting power back 17 days later. I was without power for about a week and had some roof damage, and my gates are crashed and destroyed pretty much. But I mean, again, it's just stuff. It can be replaced, right? And so that's the good news. But overall, things are going fine here. Made the trip out to Jacksonville and all that good fun stuff. But it's just another crazy Saints season. That's just kind of how it kind of rolls now.
And John, let me ask you, when you talk about that's how it rolls now, the word now is I'm emphasizing because now this pandemic seems to have struck the New Orleans Saints. 6 coaches that are going to could be out this upcoming weekend versus the Carolina Panthers here. I know some of them are in hotel rooms doing what they can to help. How much? I mean, we're talking a running back coach, a tight end coach, I believe an offensive line coach. I mean, how much, if any, will this affect, the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be okay for the most part. And of course, what we got to pay attention to is, they're vaccinated. So obviously there is a chance that they could still coach this weekend, but we'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. But obviously, with Sean Payton, he kind of jokes about everything with the whole situation. I mean, they're going to be okay, right? And it's all offensive coaches and nutritionists, and then Michael Thomas is the player that tested positive, but he's on, physically unable to perform, so it's not like he's really around and doing much of anything anyways. But, at the same time, you saw this is the exact thing that helped them beat the Packers last week is this coaching staff. They're very underrated. They do an exceptional job. Sean Payton as a play caller, I think, is one of the best things to appreciate about that performance with Jameis Winston is the fact that, this is the third quarterback now he's got it done with. I mean, you had, Winston, you had Taysom Hill, you had Teddy Bridgewater back then. You even had Luke McCown that game he had to play against the Panthers. I know they didn't win it, but McCown did an exceptional job filling in for Drew Brees there. But, Payton doesn't really get a lot of accolades as a play caller and such. But, again, like last week, he's going to have this team prepared and ready to go.
And, I learned in my life, never doubt Sean Payton. I mean, the guys is one of the best. Everyone puts Belichick up there, but you got to definitely put Payton right up there among those coaches. And you talked about Winston, and there's nobody that knows more about Jameis Winston probably than I do because I followed his entire career. But the one thing before we get too much into Jameis, I want to talk about Jameis and last week because you hit on it. I think what Sean is trying to prove, and please tell me if I'm incorrect, John, as I know you will, but it's not stats that wins ball games. It's scoring points that win ball games. And if you look at Jameis Winston last week from the Packers, great example of that. You saw Jameson. Sean says in his mind, this is what he's thinking. How do I keep Jameis from doing the one thing that has plagued him his whole career, and that's cause turnovers, throw interceptions, have fumbles? Well, what does he do? He limits the field, okay? And Jameis only throws for a little over 100 yards, but he throws 5 touchdown passes. What that's saying to me is, kid, you don't need to throw for 500 yards and, 40 touchdowns or maybe 40 touchdowns. But by not building those stats, we're going to put you in situations where mistakes are hard to come by.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, and that's kind of what I had told people, because I had picked the Saints. I was one of the few people that picked them, and, I felt so confident about them this season. I started at 10-7, but I bumped it up to 11-6, but I just thought there's too much energy and emotion going into this game, first of all. And the thing is, I told people is, Jameis didn't have to throw it 30, 35 times a game for this team to win. They could have leaned on that offensive line. They had a great 1-2 punch with Alvin Kamara and Tony Jones Jr. to get it done on the ground, which limits what Jameis has to do. And the thing is, in watching him, and again, you go back to him, his first impression on the Saints media was tremendous. I mean, this guy looked completely different, to us, just from his hands on what we knew with him at Tampa. But then you fast forward, I mean, this guy's just been he's done so much growing up and maturing, and just has been so embracive of this entire process and learning behind Drew Brees, and then being able to work with a play caller like Sean Payton. And again, with all due respect, he didn't have that in Tampa. He didn't really even have the run game support that he did in Tampa.
No,
with a guy
not
like
at
Kamara
all.
and the offensive line. And again, we could sit there and hash that out, but that's been a huge difference for Winston. And when Sean did name the starter the way he did over Taysom Hill, which again, I always thought this was Jameis Winston's job to lose. I gave him a 98% chance to win this job going into this quote unquote quarterback battle. But, I think he did great in practice. He definitely had more of the standout practices. And I think the team's belief goes way back into December, where Sean Payton left some breadcrumbs. I'll never forget, it was Jim Trotter and Steve Weiss that were doing the show and Inside the Huddle. And he just had a raving review and glow about it. And so I'm not really surprised at what I've seen with Jameis Winston, just being there at training camp and seeing him in the preseason. But at the same time, this is an offense that, if he needs to open it up, he can. But he's smarter. He's taking off with his legs. He's more in shape to be more efficient doing it. I mean, there's just so many elements to his game to where you look at what he did against the Packers. I mean, he doesn't have to throw it for 300, 400 yards like Drew Brees did. I mean, he has a good, strong defense to support him. He has some good underrated weapons to use. And so, again, it's a testament to all the work he's put in, the hard work that he's done. And, for me, it's really encouraging to see somebody like that has just really bounced back from a lot. And really now a lot of people are going to put some respect on his name.
Yeah, we are talking to John Hendrix, Saints lead writer and reporter for Sports Illustrated now. John, the one thing about Winston, and first of all, I want to go on saying this, and you already know this, but to the fans out there, I predicted that Jameis will go off this year. I predicted this before the season even started, before they even announced that the quarterback, was Jameis Winston. But I've watched Jameis. Jameis has glimpses of being a great quarterback, and I pick him to be one of the top 5 people for MVP in the league this year. This is how confident I am in Jameis. But the one thing that will kill Jameis, and then I think if Carolina does this weekend with their defense, is that the way to get to Jameis is to make Jameis feel like he has to put the whole team on his shoulders. So if they can contain Kamara, which nobody seems to be able to do, but if you can contain Kamara and get Jameis to start thinking he has to be the one to win the game and get into that brain and get him thinking, we haven't seen that yet because they destroyed the Packers, is going to be the big testament and the big test for Jameis Winston.
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, first and foremost, that was the best formula they could use, is keep the best player, Aaron Rodgers, off the field, right? I mean, they had 10-play drives, they had 10-minute drives, they had long drives, and they just did plenty defensively to keep them fresh. I mean, that's winning football 101, is anytime that you can do that, impose your will, get the run game going, opens things up in the passing game. But, I look at what the Panthers were able to do against Zach Wilson and sack him 6 times. I mean, that's a big deal for sure. And Jameis Winston today talked heavily about their pass rushers. They said that's the first thing that stands out about them. And, of course, there's going to bring a lot more to the table when it comes down to it. And, look, the Panthers very, very well may stack the box. I mean, they've seen Alvin Kamara plenty of times since 2017. Same thing with the Saints. They've seen plenty of Christian McCaffrey. But, look, that's an area that you have to respect. You also have to respect Tony Jones Jr. They're going to have some offensive line shift. They're going to be without their center, Eric McCoy. Cesar Ruiz is going to be the guy that's going to be in the middle for him this week. He's more traditional. Obviously, he came out of Michigan being a center, but then they're going to roll with a undrafted guy and Calvin Throckmorton at right guard, presumably. He did great filling in for the team last week, and I only expect him to continue doing that. And that you got 2 great all-pro left and right tackle duo, and Ryan Ramczyk and Teron Armstead, and then Andres Pete looked really good too. So, I mean, you can get things done on the ground offensively for the Saints. And again, it takes so much pressure off the defense. And honestly, that defense is a lot better than people had thought, just because there was so much roster turnover. They lost Sheldon Rankins. They lost Malcolm Brown. They lose Janoris Jenkins. You lose Trey Hendrickson, who had over 13 sacks. I mean, there were so many things. But again, throughout the whole process of training camp and preseason, we saw so many of their players that were growing and developing like they were hoping for. And again, it's a hat tip to Jeff Ireland and his ability and the scouts. They just find these guys that come in here and have just done a phenomenal job. And they're definitely going to be tested this weekend against the Panthers. They have a lot to prove. They're coming off a big win. Obviously, they want to upset the Saints, if you will. But and you look back at some of the other road games, it's kind of weird because normally we get Carolina and the Saints at the Week 17 finale, the season finale, but a little bit different this year. But I think both of these teams have a lot of high-octane energy coming in, and Saints definitely have their share of question marks going into the weekend.
Yeah, and one of the big question marks, we'll stay on the offensive side for a little bit more, is they just signed Kenny Stills to the practice squad. They tested out a couple of different receivers. This is a team that if they are thrown in, let's just say Kamara was stopped. The most impossible thing you can think of this weekend. Kamara, very rarely do you see that, but let's say they contain him enough. Who do they go to on the wide receivers? They really don't have that Michael Thomas type big playmaker out there right now. And, that's going to be the key for the Panthers. Contain Kamara. You contain Kamara. Where else do the Saints go?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a couple of areas they can go. Marquez Callaway is their number one wide receiver right now. And look, he didn't have a strong start. I mean, he got involved early last week, but then they tried for him in the end zone, but he didn't have to be a factor. I mean, he's done great. Again, training camp, preseason. He looks the part of a number one wide receiver. And again, how the game unfolded, it's good to see that Jameis didn't have to throw anything or force anything his way, but you saw him stretch the field with Deontay Harris, who's their legitimate number two guy at wide receiver. But down the line, you look at it, you got little Jordan Humphrey, more known for his run blocking abilities. He did connect with Chris Hogan, the veteran everybody knows, who was playing lacrosse, and the Saints bring him in, and he's been absolutely outstanding. But he gets a touchdown pass, and you still have Ty Montgomery in that mix. But, we'll see how it unfolds. Kenny Stills could be that guy, but really it's the tight ends is where you're going to have to look at, because Adam Troutman was their highest targeted guy last week. 6 targets, 3 catches. Again, that's a relationship that's going to really develop a little bit more as we go along. But, Juwan Johnson, he only played 12 snaps, but he had 2 touchdowns and a key 4th down pickup on 4th and 7 where they did a tight end screen. And it just kind of says, Sean Payton's got a great play calling style, but they also, another one of those guys, he's a converted wide receiver to tight end, and he's just made the most of his snaps. And so I loosely said it. We've talked about it before, but you looked at what Jameis had in Tampa with O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. Troutman and Juwan Johnson have that potential, I believe. It's not there yet. I think it's got a long way to go, but I think that it could be in for a lot of teams when they think, oh, well, Thomas is back, you got Kamara, and then they start hitting you up the seams and hitting those different routes with guys who are very athletic and can catch the ball and move really well.
Well, we look at the Carolina Panthers now. And, John, I told people this all week long because they keep saying, Larry, what do you think the Panthers need to do in order to prevail? First of all, I want to tell you, I watched, obviously, that whole game versus the Jets. This defense, and, say what you want. It's the Jets. But at the end of the day, every player on every team is an NFL player. That's the way I look at it, okay? And these guys came out to play defensively. They had 6 sacks. 8 deflected balls. They were all over the place. But I told the people that, in my opinion, 2 things have to happen. And I want to get your feedback on this after I'm done asking the question is, first, you can't only have one guy on offense named Christian McCaffrey. They utilize him so much. They have to use their tight ends more. And you're speaking about tight ends with what was with the Bucs and now what's with the Saints. This team has an unbelievable with Thomas and Tremble, and Dan Arnold. They have so many weapons at the tight end position, kind of like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do. But the other key besides spreading the ball around, and you mentioned it as a formula for the success of the Saints last week, is Kamara cannot hurt you if he's on the sidelines. You have to sustain long drives on offense. and utilize third downs. Your defense needs to get the Saints off on third down. And if you can stay on that field and put together 8, 10, 12-minute drives, you're keeping Kamara from, hurting you. And not only do you have to have those drives, you cannot score 3 points in the red zone. You have to score 7.
Yeah, and look, the thing is, I think they're almost going to have to make Sam Darnold beat him. And I say that because when you look at Christian McCaffrey, we know how great he is. And again, almost 200 all-purpose yards last week against the Jets. Against the Saints, he hasn't had over 100 since his first game against them in 2017, and his highest rush total has only been 64. So Dennis Allen and that defense does a really good job accounting for somebody like him. Not to say that McCaffrey can't go off, but you look behind it, I think he's only had 4 total touchdowns. So they're going to have to get creative. They're going to have some sustaining drives. They're going to have to limit what Winston and company.
All right, we seem to John might have lost us there. Let's see, I might be having technical difficulties. John, if you can hear me, I think we lost you. Can you hear me? Yeah, we might have lost John for a couple of minutes. I'm sure he'll jump back in as soon as he can. So we'll give John a couple of minutes. I'm sure he'll bounce right back in as soon as he can. So, one of the things John was saying is, if you keep the offense on the sideline and your offense is, sustaining long drives, you're going to be successful, because the only way the other team's offense can hurt us is that they are on the field. And the best way, sustain those long drives and keep that clock moving. And, I think we'll go ahead and we'll see that. I think we got John back now. Let's pull him up. There you go, John. I'm not sure what happened there. Good to have you back. But, John, we were talking about, keeping, the defense, keeping the offense of Carolina on the field while the offense of the Saints is off the field.
Yeah, and I mean, Joe Brady's creative. I think he has a good few tricks up his sleeve, and I think that's where you're going to have to see it is pulling out those types of punches. I mean,
well, I wonder if they might be having some Wi-Fi issue there where John is. John, you're breaking up real bad with us. I'm not sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't know if you have me. I have no idea. That's another thing is since the hurricane, we've had some crazy services. So, I mean, we still got a tree on one of our – okay. Yeah, we still got, internet problems because we got a tree on our internet stuff. So, I do apologize for that.
No, don't. I completely understand. Let me ask you this. I think also the key to this game is in the trenches. I mean, the defensive line has shown last week versus the Jets what Carolina can do. Obviously, a great job by the Saints last week. But I think on both sides of the ball, the teams that offensive line protects their quarterback the best, and the other side that puts the pressure on the quarterback the most is going to prevail in this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, it sounds like football 101. But again, you look at just how the game comes. And I think this comes down to that's obviously important in the trenches, but it's going to be the third down attempts. It's going to be the conversion on that. Special teams are going to play a huge role in this. I mean, Zane Gonzalez, you pick up the kicker. He has a history with the Saints, right? And again, that Browns game where he could have won that for him and such. I mean, all that type of stuff is going to matter. And, Saints have a kicker in Aldrich Rojas. I mean, he's a relatively new guy. They don't have Will Lutz, but, defensively in the trenches, Saints defensive line has some question marks. You're not going to have Marcus Davenport. Tano Passignon didn't practice on Wednesday because of a calf injury. Peyton Turner didn't play last week. Their first round pick, their rookie. He's expected to be back. But again, you look at some of the strength that they've had as a pass rush and a defense. They also have Quan Alexander, who's missed practice with an elbow injury. So those are things that are starting to pile up. Plus, you got the Lattimore thumb surgery. He's week to week. We don't know if he's going to play. So there are plenty of question marks defensively for the Saints team. And look, if I'm the Panthers, I'm going to send an all-out attack as early as I can, try to be aggressive and see if I can't get some points early on the Saints and really try to make them come from behind here.
All right, last question before I let you run, John. Talk about this Sunday. How do you think the game ends up? And I know we hit on different things here, but in a very quick synopsis, what both teams need to do to prevail.
Yeah, look, I think New Orleans playing on the road. I mean, I tell you, that's a factor, but not a huge factor, because we were talking to Alvin Kamara after the game. He actually talked about Peyton and his motivation tactics. He said Sean's just like a kid at Christmas when it comes to road games. He's just that kind of excitement. And look, I think Peyton, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but if he keeps it up, you got to put this guy in Coach of the Year conversation. I know he's come up a few times, but man, so many people have doubted his ability as a coach. And again, you got another quarterback he's done extremely well with, and he needs to be recognized with the Sean McVays of the play callers and all that. But I think New Orleans obviously established some tempo early. Obviously, they want to get into the end zone early, put points up on the board, put some pressure on Carolina. I think that's the best way, is make Sam Darnold be the guy that has to beat you. They're going to try to isolate Christian McCaffrey. I expect it to be kind of a cat and mouse type game on both sides here. One characteristic of what's happened the past two road games, or most of the games that come down with the Panthers lately with the Saints. But look, I think from a Carolina's perspective, again, like I said, all out blitz. You're trying to put up points on the board early, get creative, throw in some gadget plays, things that the Saints aren't accustomed to seeing, because they're going to try to come out, and Dennis Allen does a really good job, but use that to your advantage. Try to get the crowd behind you really early, make it difficult on the Saints, because you got Jameis Winston, who's going to be in a more hostile environment. It's been a long time since he's had that, right? And so I think that's going to be a key for them. Use the crowd, get up on the Saints early, make them play from behind, and then just try to take over the game. I mean, they have some great weapons like Shaq Thompson, Jeremy Chin. Those are the guys that need to get this team going for sure.
And I said last question, but let me end it with this one, my friend. Give me one reason why, if the Saints lose, why they would lose.
I think it's going to be the turnover battle, and again, they were in the plus column last week. This week, if they leave points on the board and turn the ball over, I don't see them winning. It's obviously, again, it's common knowledge, common sense, but when they don't perform well in that department, they lose football games. And you saw it early in the preseason game against the Ravens. I think they turned over 5 times. I mean, that's not winning football. So if they do that and get themselves caught up in penalties, especially some of these newer players that are going to end up playing because of injuries, that could also be a problem too for them.
All right, John, I want to thank you so very much, as always, for taking time out of, I know it's been an amazing schedule and life alteration for you over the last couple of weeks. We want to wish you, your family, and everybody in that surrounding area where you are the best of luck getting back on your feet.
Appreciate that as always, guys. And, I appreciate the support and always thinking about me. So it's good to see you covering a different team. You always do a great job. So I appreciate it, man. All
right, buddy. Stay safe. I'm always here if you need me.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. That was John Hendrix, Saints lead writer and reporter for Sports Illustrated now. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a quick 15-second station break to allow our stations to identify themselves. You are listening to Frankly Speaking Panthers on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. John Hendrix, what a great guy. And, still was nice enough to come on with everything going on in his life right now. And I know you all have heard of all the, tough lives that are going on right now in the surrounding New Orleans area. We want to thank him so very, very much for joining us on Frankly Speaking Panthers. Well, you got a good rundown, folks. And once again, love to get some comments. We love to get some feedback. We love you to go ahead and call in as well. But right now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go around the NFC South and we're going to talk about the only other game real quickly in the NFC South. If you want to call in, here is our call-on number on the board. Please give us a phone call. Please leave a message. We'll get to it and do our best to answer your questions. But, we every week when we're on Frankly Speaking Panthers, what we do is we talk about the other teams, who they're playing in the NFC South. Obviously, the Panthers and Saints. Well, it just so happens that the only other two teams, the Falcons and Panthers, they square off at Raymond James Stadium at 4:05 Eastern time this upcoming Sunday. So after the Saints game, this is a game, if it's on where you're at, you probably want to watch it, but everybody knows what Tampa Bay brings to the table. They know about that powerful offense. They know about Tom Brady, who threw for 379 yards, 4 touchdowns. All their weapons, arguably the best wide receiver. Everybody gives Evans. Everybody gives Godwin credit on that team. But Antonio Brown is set to have a breakout this year. Godwin, don't get me wrong, he had 9 receptions, 1 touchdown. Brown, 5 for 121 yards versus the Cowboys. And don't forget Rob Gronkowski, who had catches. But the big question in Tampa Bay has always been and will always be is, when the heck are they going to get a running game? I said this before last week's game, that Leonard Fournette is not the answer. And everyone said, well, look at playoff Lenny. That's right. Playoff Lenny only did it in the playoffs. He almost got cut last year because he didn't perform well enough. Now they just named Ronald Jones, Bruce Arians did, the starting quarterback, and they're going to need him to have a big game. If the fans in Tampa Bay think that it's Atlanta they're playing and they're automatically going to win, I got news coming for them. Should they win? Yes. Will they win? You don't know. You got to play the game. But Atlanta has always played Tampa Bay tough. It's a divisional game, and divisional games are always the toughest. Now, the key is going to be how well can their defense get to Matt Ryan, who was sacked 3 times versus Philadelphia last year. They got a nice, triple backfield with Patterson, Davis, and Smith. They're going to have to use play actions. The thing that killed the Eagles the Falcons. Why did I say the Eagles? The Falcons played the Eagles last week, and the Eagles was 6 of 13 on third downs. They're going to have to get Tampa Bay. Atlanta's going to have to get Tampa Bay off the field on third down if they expect to win this game. On the flip side, they were only 3 of 14 on third down conversions, so they're going to have to sustain some longer drives, kind of like we said about Carolina, if they want to win this game. This was a penalty-filled game between Atlanta and Philadelphia last week. I think the Falcons had 12 penalties for 99 yards. The Eagles, 14 for 89. It's just, amazing how the Falcons just got torn apart. And it's going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be tough on Atlanta. Can they protect Matt Ryan? Can they get a running game going? But you got to stop Tom Brady. Tom Brady uses every single person on that field. My opinion and prediction on this game is I think the Buccaneers do run away with this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they win by 14 points or 21 points in this game. We had a couple minutes left, folks. As far as this game goes, I think real quickly, while we have about a minute and a half to wrap it up, is the key to this game we talked about. I feel that if this defense comes to play the way they played last week, they have a very good chance of winning. It's hard to stop Kamara, but nobody said he can't be contained. If you can limit Kamara and the amount of touches he gets, and you can keep our offense, the Panthers offense, on the field for long sustained drives, and damn it, don't end up going for 3, go for 7 points. We are going to prevail in this game. This is a home game for Carolina. I feel that Carolina wins this game 21-20, and we will be 2-0. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed our show tonight. Want to thank everybody, John Hendrix from Sports Illustrated for joining us, all our networks, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Tobacco Road Sports Radio for allowing us the opportunity to be on their networks and have this great show. Ladies and gentlemen, until next Wednesday on Frankly Speaking Panthers, my name is Larry Frank. Good night.